Hello MotoGP fans, welcome back to ZNGP Today. Love him or fear him, one thing is certain, Marc Márquez has redefined the limits of motorcycle control in MotoGP. Now, the 8-time world champion has pulled back the curtain on the iconic saves that have become his trademark, revealing how it all began and what fuels his gravity-defying recoveries today. The United States Grand Prix at COTA will be remembered for its start line chaos as changing weather caught teams off guard. MotoGP race director Mike Webb has explained the emergency measures, bike swaps, a red flag, and a restart that unfolded in Texas, and signaled that the regulations governing race starts will be overhauled in the wake of the confusion. At the Circuit of the Americas, Fabio Quartararo delivered one of Yamaha's strongest weekends so far in 2025. But even in the fight for best of the rest, the Frenchman's close battle with Ducati laid bare the M1's persistent weaknesses. While qualifying performances have improved, Yamaha still lags in overall race pace, and Quartararo's detailed comparison with Ducati reveals a critical imbalance in the bike's braking and rear-end performance. The reigning MotoGP world champion Jorge Martin is finally on the verge of making his long-awaited return. After missing the preseason and the opening 3 rounds due to a pair of brutal injuries, Martin has now confirmed his travel to Qatar for a potential debut in Aprilia colors. All that stands in his way? A final clearance from MotoGP's chief medical officer this Thursday. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. For Marquez, it all started at Turn 3 in Barcelona back in 2010. Racing in the 125 cubic centimeters class, the young Spaniard made a miraculous save that changed how he viewed crashing forever. I remember exactly the first save. It was in 2010, at Turn 3 in Barcelona. I thought, maybe I can save crashes. Quote, Marc Márquez. That moment foreshadowed a season of dominance, 10 wins and his first world title, launching his rapid rise through the ranks. When he moved to Moto2 in 2011, Marquez's ability to control a sliding motorcycle reached new heights. The Suter MMX bike was notorious for chatter, violent vibrations that frequently sent riders to the ground. Not Marc. Especially in Moto2, I saved a lot of crashes because we had so much chatter with that bike. With those vibrations, I was always using my elbow to save crashes. That instinct, to catch the bike with his elbow, would become a signature move as he entered MotoGP. The secret to Marquez's otherworldly reactions? Dirt. Specifically, a steady diet of motocross and flat track racing. Motocross and dirt track are where I really experiment with the limits of bike control. It's about understanding what you need to do in each situation. He explains that off-road training offers a dynamic environment. Every lap is different, forcing the rider to adapt constantly, skills that translate directly to asphalt under pressure. Fans witnessed Marquez's save instincts in action again during the Texas Sprint, when a violent high side nearly sent him flying. Somehow he held on. But the main race wasn't as kind. Leading at COTA, he clipped a curb and crashed out, proof that even the great ones walk a razor-thin line. These are situations that happen in milliseconds. Your body reacts instinctively, thanks to all those years of experience and training. Sometimes you push too hard and the bike doesn't forgive. It's the balance we always strive for, to be at the limit but without going too far. Despite the crash, Marquez remains in the thick of the title fight, trailing his brother Alex by just 1 point heading into Qatar. And if history is anything to go by, the younger Marquez isn't done showing us his impossible magic just yet. For Marc Márquez, saving crashes isn't luck, it's instinct, training, and a legacy built from dirt. But even the master of recovery knows, pushing the limits always comes with a cost. 25 minutes before lights out, the pit lane opened onto a damp but rapidly drying track. As riders completed reconnaissance laps, the sun broke through, leaving most competitors stranded on wet-set bikes. Only Brad Binder, Enea Bastianini, and AI Ogura gambled on slicks, each starting from the 6th row. Meanwhile, Marc Márquez elected to swap his wet-set machine for a dry-spec GP24, unaware that the rulebook would penalize him for the change. Drivers starting from the grid and making a tire change at this point will start the warm-up lap from the pit lane, take their grid position, and will be subject to a ride-through penalty as instructed by race direction. Quote from Webb. When Marquez rode into the pit lane, a flock of riders followed, convinced they too needed dry setups. Within seconds, the grid and pit lane were swamped with motorcycles and team personnel, creating an unsafe environment. With less than a minute to the start, race direction waved the red flag to cancel the launch sequence and clear the track. A 10-minute delay and a quick start procedure later, the race finally began. The red flag was shown for a safety issue. With so many people and bikes moving on the grid and in the pit lane, it was not safe to start the race. On the second attempt, Pecco Bagnaia seized victory, while Marquez crashed from the lead on lap 9 and Alex Marquez inherited the championship lead. But the real fallout came off track. Webb acknowledged that the unprecedented events have exposed gaps in the regulations. He stressed that the rulebook must be simplified and clarified to prevent a repeat of Austin's mayhem. What happened in Austin is unprecedented, but it will make us review parts of the regulation, above all to simplify it and make it clear to everyone involved. As MotoGP moves on to Qatar, race directions promise rule changes will be closely watched. Teams and riders alike will demand clearer protocols for wet-to-dry transitions, ensuring that Austin's chaos becomes a catalyst for a safer and more straightforward start procedure in the future. After 3 rounds, Yamaha finds itself at the bottom of the constructors' standings, a position few expected. The optimism from high-grip preseason testing in Sepang faded fast, with no Yamaha riders inside the top 10 in Thailand or Argentina. At COTA, things improved. Quartararo claimed 6th in the sprint, and Jack Miller delivered Yamaha's best main race result since 2023 with 5th. While results were better, the performance gap to Ducati remained clear, and riding directly against them in Austin gave Quartararo valuable insights into where the M1 is falling short. Quartararo highlighted a key difference in braking dynamics between Yamaha and Ducati. The Yamaha, he says, relies almost entirely on the front brake, an imbalance that puts pressure on the front end and creates instability during corner entry, especially with lean angle. The Frenchman believes this isn't a braking issue per se, but rather a bike balance problem. In straight braking, we are quite okay. But where you have to brake with lean angle, they really stop the bike with both wheels, and we stop only by the front. I was pushing the front, making mistakes, but also some good saves. We have to improve our rear, not only traction, but how we stop the bike. The front feeling is maybe one of the strongest, even compared to the Ducati. But the rear is not helping to stop. It's difficult on acceleration, mid-corner, even changing direction. The bike is sliding a lot. We're trying to find rear balance and grip, Quartararo said. Quartararo's teammate Alex Rins faced a different challenge, struggling more with front-end feeling than the rear. Rins examined Quartararo's data and noted the Frenchman brakes later than he does, but replicating Fabio's setup wasn't simple. He's braking later than me, but copying his setup is difficult. We ride differently. I changed the setup quite a lot for the race, and it was positive. Step by step I recovered and finished P11. We'll keep working and try to get a better feeling in Qatar. Quote from Rins. As the paddock shifts to Lusail for round 4, it's Jack Miller, riding for Pramac Yamaha, who leads the Yamaha contingent in the championship, holding 10th place with Quartararo just 3 points behind. He is riding really good, Fabio said of Miller, acknowledging the Australian's adaptation and results. Quartararo's strong front-end feel and fearless braking are allowing him to stay in the fight, but until Yamaha finds rear grip and better balance, their ceiling remains limited. With Qatar looming, the factory team must act fast to turn insights into improvements before the championship gap becomes unmanageable. Jorge Martin made it official on Monday morning through his social media channels. He's heading to Doha. The Aprilia rider, sidelined since February 5th, will attempt to pass the crucial medical check at the Losail International Circuit ahead of the Qatar Grand Prix this weekend. Martin received the all-clear last week from Dr. Xavier Mir in Barcelona. His fractures, sustained in both wrists and hands over the course of 2 separate crashes, have shown encouraging progress, giving him the green light to travel. The clinical and radiological assessment of Jorge Martin's scaphoid, radius, and triquetrum fractures show positive healing. This allows us to begin the next phase of recovery and evaluate his condition on track in Qatar, subject to a final MotoGP medical inspection. Martin's absence from the grid has been significant. His first injury came in Sepang on February 5th, during just 12 laps of testing, where 2 crashes resulted in a right-hand fracture. He underwent surgery on February 7th and began recovery. Despite initial signs of improvement and clearance to race in Thailand, a second crash, this time on a supermoto bike at a kart track in Lida on February 24th, set him back further. The incident resulted in 3 new fractures in his left hand and a second surgery within 3 weeks. It's now been 2 full months since Martin last rode a MotoGP prototype. His physical condition has steadily improved, and now the plan is to ease back into the rhythm, beginning with a Thursday checkup by MotoGP Medical Director Dr. Angel Chart. Martin will land in Doha on Wednesday morning, giving himself time to acclimate to the desert heat before visiting the circuit Thursday for his fitness assessment. If cleared, Martin will participate in Friday's FP1 session, but there's another hurdle. After his first session back on track, he'll undergo a second evaluation with Dr. Chart to determine if he can complete the full race weekend. Jorge Martin signed with Aprilia in June 2024, but despite being the reigning champion, he has yet to make his competitive debut for the Noali factory. Qatar would mark his first ever race weekend aboard the RSGP, if everything goes according to plan. With the season already 3 rounds deep, Martin's return could bring a much-needed performance boost to Aprilia and throw a new twist into the championship fight. From multiple surgeries to months of recovery, Jorge Martin's comeback trail has been anything but smooth. But now, with Qatar in sight and his competitive fire still burning, the champion is ready to return, pending one final sign-off from MotoGP's medical team. All eyes will be on Thursday at Losail. Thanks for watching ZNGP Today, and this is your MotoGP news update. See you next time.